There is a question that waits for you in the quiet places, not in the loud crisis, not in the funeral or the diagnosis. Those have their own grief, and you know how to grieve. No, this one comes when nothing is wrong. It comes in the slow second after you turn off the car and before you open the door. It comes in the white silence of the kitchen at 2 a.m. when you came down for water and forgot the water. It comes, and it asks you one thing, very gently, with no cruelty at all. And what is all of this for? And you bury it. You always bury it. You reach for the phone, the plan, the next small task that proves you are a person who is going somewhere. By morning you have forgotten the question even came. But it came, and it will come again, because it is not a sickness in you. It is the most honest thing you have ever felt, and almost no one has ever given you permission to look at it directly. Tonight we are going to look at it directly. We are going to do what Albert Camus did: refuse to bury it, refuse to drug it, refuse to answer it with a borrowed answer. And we are going to find out what is actually waiting on the other side of the silence. Because what is waiting there is not despair. You have been told it is despair. You have been told to be afraid of it. That fear is the leash, and tonight we take it off. So sit with me for a while. Let the question stay in the room. Do not reach for anything. Let us begin where most people refuse to begin. 1. The gap nobody named for you. Let us be precise about what you are feeling, because the precision matters more than you think. The thing that visits you in the quiet is not sadness. Sadness has an object. You are sad about something. This has no object. You can have a good life, a kind partner, work that pays, a body that mostly cooperates, and still the question rises, untouched by any of it. That is the first clue. Whatever this is, it does not live inside your circumstances. You cannot fix it by improving your circumstances. People spend 40 years trying, changing the job, the city, the spouse, the diet, certain that the missing piece is just ahead, and the question follows them through every door, patient as weather. Camus gave this feeling its real name. He called it the absurd, and he was careful, almost surgical, about what he meant. The absurd is not the world being cruel. It is not death or unfairness or suffering. Those are facts, and you can argue about facts. The absurd is something stranger and quieter than any of them. It is a mismatch. A divorce, he called it. On one side of the divorce stands you, and you are a creature who needs meaning the way the lungs need air. You cannot switch it off. Leave your mind alone for 10 seconds and it begins arranging the world into a story. This happened because that person did it for a reason. My life is heading towards something. You wake up reaching for purpose before you are even fully conscious. That reaching is not a flaw. It is what you are. On the other side stands the universe, and the universe does not answer. It is vast and old and utterly indifferent to your story. It does not confirm that you matter. It does not arrange itself around your hopes. It turns according to laws that have never once consulted your name. You ask why with your whole chest, and the only honest reply is silence. The absurd is what happens in the space between those two, between the question you cannot stop asking and the silence that is the only true answer. It is not in you alone. It is not in the world alone. It is born in the meeting. Camus described it as the feeling of a man who is suddenly a stranger in his own life, an exile in a world that has had the illusions stripped away. You stood on a stage for years performing your life, and you assumed there was a script somewhere, that someone had written your part and knew how it ended. And then one ordinary evening the house lights came up and you saw the truth. There is no script. There was never a script. That is the feeling. And here's the part almost no one will tell you. It is not the end of anything. Camus was insistent on this. Most thinkers treat the absurd as a problem to be solved, a wound to be closed, a darkness to be argued away. He refused. He said the absurd is not the conclusion, it is the starting line. Everything that actually matters in a human life begins after you have stopped pretending the gap is not there. And the gap is exactly where almost no one is willing to stand. So before we can talk about how to live, we have to walk through the two doors people run for instead, because you have probably walked through one of them already, and you may not even know which one. 2. The first exit, quietly erasing the one who asks. Camus opened his most famous essay with a sentence that has unsettled readers for the better part of a century. He wrote that there is only one truly serious philosophical question, and it is not love, or God, or knowledge, or justice. It is the question of whether life is worth continuing at all. He was not being theatrical. He was being exact. Once you have felt the absurd, once you have stood in the gap between your hunger for meaning and the silence that answers, a question becomes unavoidable. If there is no built-in reason to go on, then why go on? And every other question you could ask about how to live comes after that one, because you cannot ask what to do with a life until you have decided to keep it. This is the first response to the absurd, and it is the most direct one. End the questioner, and you end the question. Dissolve the divorce by removing one of the two parties. Camus does not look away from this. He does not lecture. He does not moralize. He does not call it a sin. He sits with it the way an honest doctor sits with a hard diagnosis, refusing to flinch, refusing to dress it up as something gentler. And then he rejects it. But notice why he rejects it, because the reason is the whole hinge. He does not reject it because life is sacred. He rejects it on the grounds of coherence. The absurd, he says, is the confrontation between you and the silent universe. To exit by ending yourself does not resolve that confrontation. It surrenders it. It lets the silence win by default, because you walked off the field. And if what you wanted in the first place was to face reality without illusion, then walking off the field is the one move you are not allowed. It is the last illusion of all, the illusion that there is a clean way out. Now stay with me, because this is where it gets close to home. Most of us would never make that final, literal choice. We are still here. And so we assume we have rejected the first exit entirely. But Camus would press you. There are slower versions of the same surrender, and they are quiet, respectable, almost invisible. The nightly numbing, the scroll that goes until the eyes close, the third drink that is really about not having to be awake inside your own evening, the overscheduling so total that there is never a gap for the question to climb through. These are not crimes. They are completely human. But look at what they are for. They exist to dim the lights inside you until the gap is no longer visible. They are a way of ending the questioner, not all at once, but one ordinary night at a time. I will say it plainly, because Camus would want it said plainly. You can be alive and still be performing the first exit. You can keep your pulse and slowly erase your own awareness on a long enough timeline that no one, including you, ever notices the funeral. So the real question is not, are you still breathing? The real question is, are you awake? Are you actually standing in the gap? Or have you spent 10 years carefully turning down the lights so the gap would stop showing? If that landed somewhere uncomfortable, do not run from it yet, because there is a second exit, and it is far more cunning than this one. It does not look like an escape at all. It looks like wisdom. 3. The second exit, the borrowed answer. The second escape is more dangerous precisely because it wears the face of meaning. Camus called it, in his blunt way, philosophical suicide. The leap. It is the moment a person walks right up to the absurd, sees it clearly, feels the silence, and then, at the last possible second, closes their eyes and jumps into a system that promises the gap was never really there. Here is how the move works, and watch for yourself in it. You feel the silence. You feel the mismatch between what you need and what the universe is offering. And instead of staying in that hard, open place, you reach for something that will answer on the universe's behalf. Anything that fills the silence with a voice, a doctrine, an ideology, a relationship recast as destiny, a person assigned the impossible job of being the answer to a question they were never built to carry, a career narrative dressed up as legacy, a spirituality that murmurs that everything happens for a reason, that the universe has a plan, that you are exactly where you are meant to be, a religion of optimization, the spreadsheet of habits, the protocol, the quiet faith that if you just track enough and discipline enough, your life will finally add up to something. Camus was not contemptuous of these. He understood the hunger underneath them. It is the same hunger we all carry, the hunger for the silence to break. But he was unflinching about what they actually are. They are leaps. They take the unbearable silence and replace it with a voice you yourself manufactured. And then they let you forget that you were the one who built it. You did not resolve the absurd. You buried it. And now you live on top of the grave. And you call the grave your purpose. And the cost of the leap is the very thing you came looking for. You wanted contact with reality. You wanted to stop running. But the leap is just a more comfortable form of running. Running with better posture. Running while telling yourself you have arrived. Let me make this real with the ordinary shape it takes. A man feels the drift. He senses, somewhere under the busyness, that something does not add up. So he finds a system. He throws himself into the discipline of self-improvement. The 5 a.m. wake-up, the cold water, the metrics, the relentless tracking of his own becoming. From the outside, it looks like strength, and some of it genuinely is. But underneath, if he is honest in the rare, quiet second, the whole apparatus has one job: to make sure the question never gets a chance to speak. As long as the next milestone is in view, he never has to stand in the gap. He has not answered the silence. He has just made himself too loud to hear it. So here's what I want to ask you, and I want you to actually answer it, not for me, for yourself. What is your leap? What is the system you have quietly handed your meaning to? What is the voice you installed to keep the silence at bay? It might be noble. It might be something the whole world would applaud. That does not change what it is doing. There is a story you tell yourself every single morning, before you are even fully awake, that lets you get up and walk past the question without flinching. That story is your leap. And until you can name it out loud, you cannot choose anything else, because you cannot put down something you will not admit you are holding. But there is something else to choose. There is a third response, and Camus believed it was the only honest one available to a conscious human being. 4. The third way: revolt and staying in the gap. The third response is not self-erasure. It is not the leap. It is not optimism, and it is not despair, not faith, and not resignation. Camus called it revolt, and the word is misleading at first, because it sounds loud and angry and political. What he meant is quieter than that, and far more radical. Revolt is the refusal to surrender on either side. You do not eliminate yourself. You do not eliminate the question by importing a false answer. You stay. You stand inside the gap, fully conscious that it is a gap, and you live anyway. Camus put it in a line worth carving somewhere you will see it. Living is keeping the absurd alive. Read that slowly. Actually living, not the autopilot you have been calling living, means keeping the absurd present in your awareness. Not solving it, not transcending it. Keeping it in the room, the way you keep your own breath in awareness once you finally stop and notice it. The absurd dies, he said, the moment you look away. Most people look away within seconds of meeting it. Revolt is simply what happens when you stop looking away. This is harder than it sounds, and the difficulty is not weakness on your part. It is the nature of the mind. The mind wants resolution. It wants a verdict, a closed loop, a doctrine it can file the question under and stop thinking. To live in revolt is to keep a question permanently open inside you and refuse the relief of closing it. It is to feel the silence and keep speaking into it anyway. To know there is no given meaning and to build meaning regardless, while never once forgetting that you are the one building it. And here is the paradox that almost no one sees coming. The person who lives this way is not less alive. They are more alive, more present, more lucid, more capable of plain joy than the person buried comfortably in the leap. Camus said it directly. Once you accept that life has no given meaning, life is lived all the better. Not in spite of the absurd, through it. Because now everything you do is genuinely yours. Every choice, every act of love, every hour of work, every bit of attention you spend, you are no longer borrowing its weight from a system that promised it would count. You are giving it weight with your own hands. The mattering becomes something you make, not something you wait to receive. Think for a moment about how different that is. The man on the leap loves his partner because the relationship is supposed to save him, and so every ordinary disappointment feels like the universe breaking a promise. The man in revolt loves his partner knowing the universe promised nothing at all, and so the love is not a transaction with fate. It is a thing he chose, freely, into the silence, for no reason except that he chose it. Which love do you think is heavier? Which one can survive a Tuesday? The borrowed meaning is fragile precisely because it was never yours. The made meaning is unbreakable in the one way that matters. No one can revoke it because no one gave it to you. But be honest about the cost, because the cost is real and Camus never hid it. To live this way, you have to give up the comfort of the answer. You have to accept that no one is coming to confirm your story. You have to live without the secret, almost childlike expectation that the universe is keeping score, that somewhere there is a final scene where it all gets explained, where your suffering is revealed to have had a hidden purpose, where someone has been watching and is, at last, pleased. You have to put all of that down. And then, this is the part that breaks people. You have to keep it down, every morning, for the rest of your life. That is why most of us prefer the leap. The leap is cheap, and you pay once. Revolt is expensive, and you pay daily. And still Camus believed it was the only life worthy of a conscious mind. To understand why, he gave us one image, and he wanted us to carry it for the rest of our lives. 5. Sisyphus and the long walk down. You know the myth. The gods condemned Sisyphus to roll a great boulder up a mountain, and each time he neared the summit, the stone broke loose and rolled back down, and he had to descend and begin again, forever. The gods chose this particular punishment because they believed there was nothing more terrible than labor that is endless and without purpose. Camus took the myth and cracked it open, and what he found inside was not despair. It was the truest portrait of the human condition anyone has ever drawn. Watch where the story actually lives. Almost everyone fixes on the climb, the strain, the boulder against the shoulder, the slow grind upward, the false summit, the stone tearing away again. That is the part that looks like tragedy. But Camus said no. The myth does not live in the climb. It lives in the descent. Watch Sisyphus walk back down. The boulder is already at the bottom. The work is already undone. And he has the whole walk to himself, alone, with nothing to do but think. That walk down is the entire teaching, because in that walk, Sisyphus is fully conscious of his situation. He sees the absurdity of it completely. He knows the climb meant nothing. He knows the rock will roll. He knows tomorrow is identical to today and to every day after, until the end of time. And he keeps walking down. He does not look away. Here is what Camus understood that the gods did not. The gods thought the torture was the futility. They were wrong. Futile labor is only torture if you are still secretly hoping it will turn out not to be futile. The moment Sisyphus accepts, with both eyes open, that the boulder will always roll back, the punishment loses its grip on him. There is no fate, Camus wrote, that cannot be overcome by lucidity, by the refusal to let the meaninglessness of the task make the man himself meaningless. Sisyphus knows the rock completely. The rock knows nothing of Sisyphus. And in that asymmetry lies the whole of his victory. Now look at your own life, because the boulder is yours too. The boulder is the work you will do until you retire or until you stop. The relationships you tend until, one way or another, they end. The body you maintain until it can no longer be maintained. The list of tasks that empties on Friday and is full again by Sunday night. The stone that rolls back down every time you were sure you had finally reached the top. You did not choose this structure. No one chose it. It is simply the human condition with the curtain pulled back. And inside it you have exactly two postures. You can climb pretending the rock will one day stay, telling yourself one more raise, one more achievement, one more milestone, and then it will hold, and then I will rest, and then it will mean something. That is the leap. That is the slow, grinding sorrow of every adult, still waiting for life to finally make sense. Or you can climb knowing the rock will roll, knowing the climb itself is the life, knowing there is no summit where the meaning gets handed to you. The second posture sounds harder. It is not. In the deepest sense, it is lighter, because nothing is being deferred, nothing is being borrowed against a payoff that will never arrive. The climb is yours, the rock is yours, the descent is yours, and what looked like punishment quietly becomes possession. That is why Camus ended with the line that has haunted philosophy ever since, that we must imagine Sisyphus happy. He is not telling you to fake a smile. He is not telling you to find the silver lining. He is telling you that the man who has stripped away every illusion, who has refused both exits, who stands fully awake inside the absurd, that man is the one finally capable of happiness, not despite his condition, because of it. So what do you actually do with this? Because Camus is not offering a feeling, he is offering a practice, a daily refusal of every soft escape that wants to pull you back into the leap. And the practice is almost embarrassingly small. The next time the question visits you, at the red light, in the cereal aisle, at 2 a.m. over the water you forgot to drink, do not reach for the phone. Do not reach for the plan. Do not reach for the answer. Just sit there. Let it visit. Let it stay a little longer than is comfortable. And notice, this is the whole exercise. Notice the exact thing you usually grab to make it leave. The scroll, the drink, the to-do list, the reassuring story. Notice your hand reaching, and do not grab. That is revolt. That is the descent of Sisyphus performed in your own kitchen in real time. The first dozen times it will feel like nothing, like you sat in the dark and accomplished precisely nothing. It is not nothing. You are learning to stand in the one place your whole life has been organized to keep you out of. You are learning to be awake. And I want to be honest with you about what it leads to, because it is not what the leap promised. The leap promised peace, the final arrival, the resolved question, the rest. Revolt does not offer peace. It offers presence. They are not the same thing, and the difference is everything. Peace is what the borrowed answer keeps promising and never delivers. Presence is what staying in the gap actually gives you, and it is harder, and it is real, and it is yours. Camus believed that a life spent fleeing the absurd was a life only half lived. and he respected human beings far too much to let them spend it that way without at least being told. So I will tell you what he was telling you. The question that keeps visiting you is not a defect. The silence underneath your days is not a problem to be solved. The condition is simply the condition. And inside it, fully awake, refusing every easy exit, there is a way to be alive that the running could never offer you. So here is the soft thing I will leave you with, and it is not advice. It is an invitation. Sometime in the next few days, the question is going to come for you. You know the moment. You know exactly when and where it tends to arrive. When it does, just once, do not bury it. Let it sit in the room with you, and ask yourself quietly, if no one is keeping score and no summit is coming, what would I choose to give weight to anyway, with my own hands, for no reason but that I chose it? Whatever rises in answer to that, that is the beginning of your own life, the one that is actually yours. A door has opened that does not close on its own. You will feel it next time the question comes, and this time, you will have a choice you did not have before.